stops you when no one distracts you?
Oof, right onto it, the deep one. So, to be honest, like I had to learn how to push myself. I also had to learn how to train alone. And the reason for that was, in the beginning, I was training in Reykjavik, but I was always doing those like 40-45 minute drives. In Iceland, 40-45 minute drives that's long for us. It's far. But when I was starting, I had to do those drives, and at some point, I just didn't have, well, first of all, time to do it, didn't have money to pay for gas, all of that kind of stuff, just to go back and forth to Reykjavik from where I was living. But soon after I started training in CrossFit Reykjavik, my brother opened up the gym in Hveragerði, like 30 minutes outside of Reykjavik. The only thing that I had to keep in mind at that point was, because I was training with other athletes in Reykjavik, like Annie and just the guys that were coming up at that point, I couldn't train with them anymore because my brother was opening up the gym, right? And we were basically the only CrossFitters in that town. So I had to I really knew that at that point, I was changing gyms and I was going to be training on my own. So I had to for a few months probably, in every session that was supposed to be a very hard pushing session, intervals or for time or anything, I really had to remind myself midway through that, there is nobody here. Nobody is going to come in and say, push harder. Nobody is against me here, so I can't see how fast people are going. So I really needed to teach myself how to shift into almost another gear when I was alone and no one was watching. And I think that doing that early and realizing it super early in my career, I think that was one of the weapons that I developed, was the ability to be able to train alone. So, I had to make a decision, either I do this or I'll probably fall back because I'm too good to myself or something like that. I think, at first when you're doing CrossFit, there's so many things to get better at, right? And it's so easy to get better at different things because you're doing, Fran for the first time and then Diane for the first time, and then you do Fran again, then you PR by 90 seconds or something. But then once you get into training like a professional, once you get into training 2 sessions a day, it becomes less about that and more about, training your weaknesses and all of that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it just gets it's so much in the schedule that even though motivation is super low, you didn't sleep good, for some reason you haven't been eating great, it just all of that really doesn't matter because it's so programmed in your mind at that point that, there is training at that time, at that place. And if you want to reach your goal, that's the only thing you need to do. You need to show up, no matter what. And over time, I don't think it became hard at any point. Yes, there are sessions where it's it's harder to warm up, but going to the gym was never an option. That was always going to be there. And when I think back now, it's been so many years, and at this point, I don't even know how I would feel if I would just think to myself, nah, I'm not going to do this session. I've never done that in my life, and I don't plan on doing it either.
Describe that feeling right before the competition starts.
Mm-hmm. I think, for an example, right now, there's 2 days until we start. Those days have usually, training has started to be super calm. Usually 1 or 2 very short sessions where you're just trying to, gather all of those sessions that you have been putting in over the last 3 or 4 months or since the last tour. So my goal is just to make myself feel as good as I can, but at the same time, you're feeling better and better. but still you get more nervous and nervous, even though that, you know, you're feeling like you want to go, like you really want to go, but the nervousness is like slowly climbing up also. And I think that's good. Like if I wouldn't be nervous, then, you know, you wouldn't care that much. So I'm just trying to just like keep everything together now. If anything, you're not going to get fitter, but you could definitely ruin your weekend by doing too much now. So the goal is just to, you know, try to be as sharp as possible and try to enjoy that, you know, downtime that's now the calm before the storm.
What's the one message you want every young athlete to hear?
That's a good one. I would say, you know, it's like you can hear this from me, for an example, but I am not really gonna, I don't think I'll get deep enough into young athletes' mind because they don't have the experience to understand what I'm talking about. But like it's like I think it's important to make all the mistakes. And I remember when people were saying to me when I was, you know, 19, 20, like really training like hard, and like I didn't pay attention to my knees being hurting all the time, or my shoulder or my back. But I think I really needed to feel how it was to train too much, like stepping over the line, like knowing where that line is really important, because if you always stay behind it, then you really don't know where the edge is, like how much you can train and all of that kind of stuff. So like I would treat injuries as an opportunity to work on weaknesses and other stuff. I think everybody is going to be or get injured. I think if a young athlete gets a little injured, I think it's just an opportunity for them. And I would just like try to enjoy it as much as you can, and don't take it too seriously. Even though people might think that I took everything very seriously, I did, and I did all my training, and I really respected the time that I was in the gym. But at the same time, I always remembered that, you know, there is something outside of gym also, like family and friends. And it's super important to like create time outside of the gym, because if that's the only thing that's going on in your life, you know, you're just gonna hit the wall at some point. And you're either gonna hit the wall at some point, or you will have a short-lived career, to be honest. So, I mean, I've been swimming quite a lot over the last couple of months. I knew that I could definitely swim under 140 per 100, but preferably closer to like 135. I actually ended up swimming 135s, and I didn't really test like a full 500 before the event, so I was happy with my time, 7:55. And then on the second one, I would say that I'm okay with swimming under fatigue, so I wanted to try to push the machines as much as I like dared to, because I know there was a lot of guys that, you know, would be able to pull a pretty crazy paces and still keep the swims. So yeah, I was happy with how that worked out, and I still had some energy in the tank when I got to the last ski. So yeah, I think overall it was pretty good finish.
Yes. Okay. How comfortable are you in the water compared to the rest of the field? Pretty good.
Yeah, I would say compared to the rest of the field, I'm pretty comfortable. There were a couple other good swimmers, like Ty Jenkins, that I was lucky I could see his time or his performance before my heat. But still, I would say I'm fairly comfortable, but much less comfortable compared to what I used to be like 15, 16 years ago. I think it gets less and less comfortable the longer or every year. But yeah, still, I like to be in the water, and swimming events are always a blast and good way to start.
Was a swim opening event good or bad for you? Paper.
On paper, it was better than starting with a run, which is what we normally start with. I had a little oopsie and did an extra 50 meters, which is unfortunate considering we went directly into another one, but I was pretty happy with my pacing for the 500, and the second part was just I'm pretty comfortable as well swimming under fatigue. Just a really talented field, and so you can't make mistakes like that to place, well. But I'm not disappointed in my efforts, so can't be upset.
We're watching Jamie Green throw down with her team Invictus International. Lane 6. I think they're sitting in second place, day 2, so that's pretty exciting. And we'll see. They crushed the last event, so let's see if they can take another event win. Oh yeah.
Do you think they're gonna win?
Do I think they're gonna win? I think they'll win this one. I don't think they're gonna win the snatch one. But I think they'll win this one.
Let's go, Jamie!
We had a heat win after event 3. Why do you guys think the event overall went so well for you guys? Like teamwork, that kind of thing, who's a good runner, all that kind of stuff.
We had a really good plan for the workout. I think we had a good strategy, and we were not going so fast on the chipper, and we were just doing everything we could on the run.
Yeah.
And we had a really good boys for the run, so they could push us.
I was going to say, did they do the little push technique?
Yeah,
Which I saw a lot
they
of
pushed us, so that was really good. And also Lea is a really good runner, so they could just do the lap so fast, and I think that was really good.
Well, honestly, for me, the run was the only thing that was like hard. Yeah, because the other stuff was you couldn't really push that because there was no point because the run would be longer anyways.
Yeah.
So we really tried to recover on the exercises, and then we pushed the run.
Nice.
So the last run, that was really brutal. Yeah, and we knew they were already done with the chipper, so the only thing that we had to do was run all we got. So we did that, and we're really happy about how it went. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, good job today.
Thank
Great.
you. Yes.
Ég vissi ekki að mátti ekki droppa pókarum hér. Já.
I love it. Having a big win like that, especially after a tough couple of days, what does it do for morale?
Yeah, you know, I kind of knew this weekend was going to be very up and down for me. Just, I'm not quite there right now, and excited to perform well on the ones that I want to perform well on.
I want to know, you get back to the gym Monday morning, you versus Andrea. Do you think you're ever going to catch her?
Depends on the workout, but she's really good.
It's great. You're great. That was awesome. Great job.
What drives you when no one is watching?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I think for me, I generally plan to be on a team, and I think one of the hardest feelings is letting down your teammates. And I've definitely had sessions where I'm not with my team and it gets hard, and I'm thinking about like if we were in a workout together, what would I do to make sure I'm not letting them down? You know, listening to your body and making sure you're doing what's right for yourself. And I think I have a pretty good gauge at this point. I'm, you know, over 10 years deep now on if I need to take a rest. And there's a difference between I shouldn't be in the gym today versus I don't want to be in the gym today. And when it's I don't want to be in the gym today, it's a mental battle more than a physical one to make sure that, you know, maybe you need to adjust some things, but you can still do some training because you know it's the right thing to do for you. And then there's times when you go to the gym and something doesn't feel right. It's not that you don't want to be there, it's that I'm not, something with my body is telling me, you know, you need to cut it today. That's enough for today. And that makes it really helpful to have a good coach who can make that decision for you. Some coaches are better than others at making that decision, but I've been very lucky with, you know, I've been all around the world with a lot of the big training groups, and they're all phenomenal coaches. And I found that as an athlete, I work better with a collaborative approach versus you have to do this, 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 and this every day. And I think that's maybe a weak point for some athletes where they see it on the program and they feel like they need to do it versus I see it's on the program, hey, I'm not feeling great today. What's the most important things for me to get done? Do those things and then call it a day. It's not like when I was in Iceland, something that really stuck with me from Yami, the coach of the training plan, BK's coach and Annie's coach for a long time, was every session is more important than any session. And what that means is get the most out of every session you can. Don't hyper-focus on one session. And you see in athletics all the time, oh, I think I should do one more. And you do one more and that's where you get injured. And finding that balance is really, really hard as an athlete. But I like to think I've stayed, you know, relevant and healthy for so long because I'm able to make that hard decision of, you know, today's not my day. I don't need to take another lift. I've missed it 3 times. I don't normally miss it. Something's off today. It's not a technical thing. It's something's just not clicking right in my body, and I probably just need a little rest.
How do you stay mentally strong on your worst days?
That's definitely a struggle for me. A lot of it's self-talk. I actually just had a conversation with Chandler Smith because I love him as an athlete. I think he's so gritty and so tough. And we were talking about Project One, which on paper is a terrible workout for me. It's in a time domain that doesn't really favor me. It's hard, it's long, and we were chatting about it before. I was like, I like it for you, Chan. You're so gritty. And you know, he said, you wouldn't be here if you weren't gritty too. Like, you have a lot of finesse in what you do, and I really appreciated that because I think from an outside looking in, you just see, like, you see the leaderboard and you see the people who are crushing it, but everyone here is a very talented athlete, and it's taken a lot of hard work for them to even be on this floor, whether or not they're assigned pro or in the challenger division working their way up, or just got to backfill. I think there's more negativity than there should be for, like, when you concentrate on the hard work that everyone puts in to do this sport. You know, it's not a super lucrative sport, but it's very challenging. You have professional athletes in other sports doing CrossFit training, and all the time, like, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. And it's like, yeah, you know, it is really hard, and I think we should all be proud of ourselves that we're continuously pushing the limit and challenging ourselves in a way that it really is just amazing, and I'm inspired every time I compete. I love to have a good performance, but I know the work that goes into it, and I know the work it takes to be at a significantly higher level than me, and I know these guys are doing it, and that's an inspiration for me.
Describe that feeling right before the competition starts.
I think we all have nerves. I mean, I still get nervous. I've competed even this year probably 10 times, and the day before the morning, sometimes I can't eat. You know, you don't sleep well, you're in a new spot, and you would think it gets easier, and it just, like, For a lot of us, it doesn't. And I've had this feeling my whole life. I was a competitive gymnast, I was a competitive wrestler, and I was very lucky that one of my coaches in high school, so when I was 14, 15, he was an Olympic silver medalist wrestler, and he's like, I used to get so nervous I would throw up before every match. And at that point, I knew that nerves weren't necessarily something to be feared. It just means you care. And I know how much everyone here cares, and not even like about how they do, but just like you want to do your best, and everyone here is really committed to giving their best effort, and that's going to vary from day to day. Sometimes your best effort just isn't that good, but that doesn't mean it's not your best effort. And sometimes on the internet, on Instagram and YouTube, people are like trashing people's performances, and there's definitely times where people aren't as prepared as they should be, but like, we're all human, we all have things going on, and the fact that they're out there trying their best is like really something to be admired, I think.
What's the one message you want every young athlete to hear?
I think for me, it's being okay with failure and understanding that it's okay to take risks and, set a goal, maybe not reach it, but taking those risks is part of, for me at least, what leads to a fulfilling life. I think my personal journey, like I was in university and there was nothing going wrong, but I was just like, I don't think this is for me. And I dropped out of school when I was 19. I took my L1 a month later, started coaching some CrossFit. Someone at the gym was like, hey, there's this thing called Grid League. I don't know if you remember Grid League. They have it still kind of running, kind of like a semi-pro level. But I did a tryout, and I ended up making the team called the Boston Iron. And I met two of the most amazing mentors I've ever had. I competed for that team. There was a lot of crossover between CrossFit and Grid. They had some gyms in Boston, and they were like, I think you should move to Boston. I know you're a coach. We're gonna help you develop your coaching. You're gonna train here with our other athletes. And it's scary for sure. Like a 19-year-old kid, no money, just like my car had no heat in it. Driving to, I don't know if you know Boston. Boston's cold. And, packed my bags and drove to Boston and just kind of started figuring it out at 20. I moved there right before I turned 21. And in hindsight, it's a cool story, but at the time it didn't feel cool. I felt like I was a failure. I didn't finish school. All my friends, were starting to graduate. But fast forward a year or two, I was, flying to Dubai to compete in the Dubai Championship, and I was like, man, like this is kind of cool. Like even if things don't continue to work out, I gotta have like this experience. And like fast forward a few more years, I've competed now for a while, and like I'm doing pretty well, and like starting to get some recognition. And like I read a DM from Annie Thorsdottir, and it's like, hey, I want you to move to Iceland. I'm like, I can't do that. Like this got to be a joke or something. And I at first I told her, like, I don't think I can do it. I don't think you want me, basically. And she thought it was going to be a no. And a week later, I called her. I was like, and we had a little discussion about it. And she was nervous to have me on the team. But I trust myself, and I trust my work ethic and my character. And within a month of me being there, she's like, I'm so happy I picked you. And that was like super meaningful for me, and kind of reinforced that, like, take the risk. It's okay to take the risk. And sometimes it's not gonna work. I've had plenty of times where things just didn't go the way I thought they would. It happens almost every year. But without taking the risk, you're never going to reach, what your real dream is. And I think that's kind of a little bit of a, I don't want to, I guess, disease is the word I was going to use, but that seems really aggressive, but definitely a condition of like the modern world where people prefer to take it safe and do what's very comfortable for them. And I just personally, I'm a bit of a nerd. I love fantasy, and like, I always, like, every time I get on a plane, I think of like, you know the book, The Hobbit? So there's a scene where it's like, I think I'm ready for another adventure. And that's the way I treat it. Like, life is supposed to be an adventure, and you know, some adventures are great and some suck. But at the end of the day, when I'm hopefully at a ripe old age, I'm gonna look back and be like, man, I'm so glad that I got to live life like really to the fullest. And that doesn't happen if, you know, I don't do what feels right to me and take risks that people said were crazy. Like the amount of backlash I got from even my family when I dropped out of school, and like neighbors and stuff, like, oh, you're throwing your life away, this, that, and the other. And then when you start succeeding, they're like, I think it's a projection, as you were saying earlier, of like a little bit of them like regrets that they didn't do those things, and they want to hold you back in some regard, but they don't even know that. And so there's no like animosity to that. It's just they care about you and they want you to be safe and secure. But you know, the world's so big, and I'm so happy that I've gotten to see so much of it at my age.